Well, guys, after seeing this report, I want to know which MP ordered in the big bag of skunk, for delivery to Parliament, the absolute genius. Obviously, I'm only joking. I don't actually know if they're talking about a delivery being made to some MP or an outside contractor carrying out a bit of work on the area there. Either way, though, I've got to say, I laugh my arse off when I see the headline to this article. Now, from what I can see online, people seem pretty shocked by this, but to be honest, I'm really not. I'm more shocked the old Bill didn't catch 50 or more MPs with a gram of Charles ready to bang it up their rooter. Wasn't it Gove or someone like that who was a little bit partial to a bit of niff up his nose? I'm sure it was someone like that. Don't quote me on it though, because I could be wrong. But I'm certainly willing to bet that many of them in there like acting like Kate Moss when they can. Now, the details don't actually specify which substances they found, with the exception of weed, so maybe the harder drugs are related to MPs and their staff and it's being hushed up. Obviously, I don't know that for sure, but either way, the fact that all this crime goes on behind those doors is obviously comical. It seems the people in Parliament only dislike drugs when the peasants are taking them and not them. When it comes to Parliament, they certainly don't mind having a little bit thrown in the door or brought in. It's just unfortunate for them that the old bill seemed to be catching them. Now, it does state that 2 drug dealers got caught, which means someone ordering in the night's entertainment was ballsy enough to get it delivered to a building literally guarded by the old bill. Probably not the smartest of moves, let's be honest, but it's certainly a funny one. In fact, Diane Abbott's son is partial to a bit of powder last I checked, so maybe it was the offspring of MPs involved. But you know what, let's have a look at some of the crimes committed in Parliament just for the shit and giggle of it. It headlines Joint of Order, 2 drug dealers nicked in Parliament as hundreds of crimes recorded at Home of Democracy. Home of Democracy, you're having a fucking bubble. Home of puppet tyrants under the orders of their globalist masters and not the people. It's about as democratic as a communist state. The traffickers were held as some 202 crimes were committed on the Westminster estate in the 12 months to March. So that's not even over the course of years, that's literally just 12 months that this shit show has happened. It says Met officers also arrested 5 people for possession of unspecified drugs and a further 8 for possession of cannabis in the House of Commons and House of Lords, so not just in the grounds, literally in the fucking building. Are these people having a laugh? You've got to be one of the dumbest motherfuckers in the world to actually walk in there with drugs on you. Can you not see the amount of old bill that's posted around outside it? It says this was despite Parliament being in a lockdown for long periods of the year, with MPs and other workers largely told to stay away. Yeah, well, some people weren't staying away and instead they were going in there and puffing on a big fat joint, it would seem. It goes on, the Freedom of Information stats from the Met revealed 17 drug crimes in total, while 36 assaults were recorded, with the vast majority against officers at the gates. There were 25 thefts, not including 7 cases of shoplifting from the gift shop, plus 52 letters threatening MPs and Lords or their staff. While I have to say there shouldn't be any, 52 letters threatening people in there is actually not that bad. I'm pretty sure I get more threats than that a week just in the comments section. Obviously though, it doesn't matter about me. To these MPs, anyone sending them a letter that might be slightly spicy will be considered a domestic terrorist or some shit like that. Obviously, while they release actual terrorists from prison almost every day. It goes on, there are more than 3,000 pass holders with access to the Palace of Westminster in central London, though many were not present during that year. So obviously the amount of people that's between is not that many, so why don't they actually start giving us some names? It would be quite funny if MPs actually got called out for this. Imagine one of them had actually been arrested for smoking on a big fat joint or something like that. A Parliament spokesman said the safety and security of members, their staff and the parliamentary community was an absolute priority, yet that's why they need a steady supply of drugs to keep them going. We work closely with the police to ensure members of staff are safe and able to perform their duties. Yep, you make sure they can perform their duties with a nice bit of coke or maybe some ketamine to ram up their nose. Or shit, actually, had you even fucking take ketamine at all? I could guarantee some of these MPs will know while I bloody don't. And it finishes up here. The Sun revealed last month a probe had been launched after a letter sent from Parliament to a prison inmate sparked a Class A drug probe when it was found to contain traces of ecstasy. So obviously someone in there has been banging a couple of ecstasy tablets as they sit there tripping balls, sent a little prisoner a letter, and now it's probed by obviously the old bill for this. Though, to be honest, I'm just taking the piss there. Obviously this is more likely come from someone touching a note and then them holding the same one. I've actually heard of people being stopped and testing positive for coke despite the fact that they're like 90 years old and never touched it. This is because they've got a note that some bastard has been banging shit up his bugle through. Of course though, being MPs and obviously Parliament, it's certainly possible that someone there was actually doing a bit of E, or had some on them and had touched it and then touched the paper that they sent it on. Either way though, if you ask me, this whole fucking story is pretty bloody hilarious, I've gotta say. 202 crimes with a shitload of drugs and even drug dealers nicked in there is hilarious. If they weren't all such a bunch of wankers, it would actually make them seem more normal. But let's be honest, the sort of crimes they do, we don't want any part in, let's be honest.